Hi you guys, Coco Black is back. This is the Kai Project. The knowledge is yours. So I've been listening to the news lately. Of course I spend a lot of time in my car, so so I have to do it a little differently than most. I might get it a day late from others if you look at it on regular TV. But I've been hearing a lot about this COVID-19 and its effects on the economy and on the public. People not knowing where their next meal is coming from, and how they're going to pay their bills, things like this. Well, it actually shapes my behind a lot, and I'm going to explain to you why. So, in a lot of the, how can I put it, the neighborhoods, they like to call it, this has been going on for decades. This is something that is not new to people that are growing up in these types of neighborhoods. There's a lot of poor families over here. And across the United States, there's a lot of neighborhoods just like this one, where these people don't know where their next meal is coming from. Single mothers, they're working 2 jobs and, trying to support their kids and their families and are barely making ends meet. They're living paycheck to paycheck. And in a lot of cases, they're not even able to do that because they have to go out and get food stamps. They have to go out and get Section 8, things like that. And they're still not making ends meet. Like, I used to be one of those women. I was a single parent for a while. And I had to take Section 8 and food stamps and cash assistance and things like that. Go to the local pantries and, try to get food and what have you. That it's hard. It's absolutely hard. I'm not saying that it's not to anybody out there that has to go through this right now, but this is something we've been going through for quite a long time. And the kicker is, you can work 2 or 3 jobs and still be considered lazy. Ain't that something? I had people turn their nose up at me. I didn't have the new name brand clothes on. My daughter didn't either. So, it was retarded how people used to treat you. Would treat you if you're below that margin. But that's what it is. And now some of these same people, and I'm only speaking to those, some of these very same people that would treat you like crap, mess with you on your jobs, while you're trying to support your family. These same people are now going through it. I don't feel bad for you all at all. At all, not for 1 second. And the reason I don't is because this is just full circle. It's karma coming back full circle. You used to turn your nose up at people like me all the time. You would make our jobs harder than what they really should have been. Like, I seen one of my supervisors, one of my old supervisors, and when I say he was an asshole, he was an asshole. Excuse my French. This man would go out of his way to ruin your day just for sport. And here recently, I got to see him in passing in the grocery store, and he could barely afford the groceries he had on the belt. And I was just like, well, ain't that something? Some people say, I should have helped him. Don't be the same person he was to me. Well, no, it's not about being the same person he was to me. It's about letting his letting his hen come home to roost. That's what that is. I don't owe this man a thing. So I don't have to do anything for this man. And had he been a lot nicer, and not even that, you can't stop what God is trying to teach. You see what I'm saying? You can't jump in line and say, I know better than God does, because we don't. That man had a lesson he needed to learn, and maybe that was God's way of teaching him that lesson, by letting him suffer in the manner that he allowed so many people before to suffer, just because he felt like being an asshole for the day. that particular job, I ended up quitting that job because it just got to be way too much. It's like a bully system. You know, you don't just get bullied in school. These same bullies grow up and they turn into your supervisors. They have positions of power where they can make your life a living hell at work, and they do it. I've seen it all too much. And now these very people are sitting here during this pandemic looking for someone to have sympathy on them. Well, my first question is, did you have sympathy on any of your staff that you treated like crap? Not at all. You didn't have any sympathy. You didn't have any remorse. You didn't care at all. At all. And now the shoe's on the other foot. So I can't say that I feel bad for some of these families that are, you know, maybe your kids, you know, because they have nothing to do with it, you know. Maybe even your spouse, you know, because they have nothing to do with it. But you as an individual, I can't, in a lot of these cases I see around the United States, it's hard to feel bad for some of these people. Because some of these people are the very people that made it inevitable for other families to suffer like this long before the pandemic. And I can't at all say, you know, that some part of me doesn't feel bad just a little bit, because it does. Just like I shouldn't have had to suffer in that manner. I don't think anybody should have to. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But if you're one of those people that went out of your way to make these circumstances possible for another family, with no remorse, then this is a lesson you need to learn without interruption. And that's just the truth of it. I know I joke a lot. You know, I'm pretty playful at times. But economic redlining is alive and well. Racism in this country is alive and well. And it's sad because people like myself have to deal with it on a regular basis. And a lot of times, more often than not, it plays a very huge part in how you're treated in the workplace and how you advance in the workplace. I've seen it all too much. I've even suffered it more than once. I mean, I had a supervisor. I won't call out the name of the job. I wish I could. But this particular supervisor pulled me aside. First, I went to speak with someone because my lunch kept coming up missing off the back of my truck. And if this boss is watching, he knows exactly who I'm talking about. My lunch kept coming up missing off of the back of my truck. So I finally went to a supervisor because I would find it in the trash right next to my truck. And I finally went to a supervisor to make them aware, my lunch keeps coming up missing and I'm finding it in the garbage. He pulled me aside off camera, which I didn't pay attention to at first. He pulled me off camera and told me, "Shut the fuck up, you little black bitch." And this boss was Hispanic. And I just I was thrown by it. I couldn't believe that he was actually that blunt, I think, is what it was. So I said, okay, and I wrote it up in a report. And what they did to counter, to retaliate, should I say, he told it's this young boy that was going to school to be an ordained minister. He told him to lie and tell me, and tell the lead supervisor that I was, that I made a racist comment to him. Ain't that something? You guys, give me just a moment. I am working at the moment. Give me a moment. I'll be right back. Stay tuned for the remainder of that story.